I'm Magalí, and I'm going to do the review of the book called The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It is a compilation of 12 short detective fiction stories written by Arthur Conan Doyle, published in 1892. The story my classmate Agustina and I have chosen is named The Speckled Band, and it is a classical locked room mystery that deals with themes of parental greed, inheritance, and freedom. The main characters are, of course, Sherlock, Dr. Watson, who is Sherlock's friend and the story's narrator, Helen Stoner, who is the woman who comes to Sherlock for help, and Dr. Grimes B. Roylott, who is Helen's stepfather. The story begins when one morning Sherlock and Dr. Watson met a young lady named Helen Stoner, who felt her life was being threatened by her stepfather, Dr. Grimes B. Roylott. She explained to them that her twin sister had died just before she was going to be married, and it was really strange for her and for everyone. But Helen also was concerned because she had heard her sister's dying words, which were the speckled band. She was unable to decode their meaning, and also she was restless because she was hearing strange noises and observing strange activities in the property. Like, for example, she was forced to sleep and move into the room her sister had died. After listening carefully, Dr. Watson and Sherlock decided to spend the night in Helen's room. So in the darkness, they was waiting until they heard a slight metallic noise and a dim light through the ventilator. So quickly he light a candle, and they discovered the speckled band, that it was a really venomous and exotic Indian snake. So after that, he drove it with his walking stick through the ventilator, and as a consequence, the snake was really agitated, so it attacked Roylott. The snake, after attacking Roylott, killed him, and Dr. Roylott was waiting for the snake to return after killing Helen. So someone died in the place of Helen. Dr. Roylott did all this only for the fortune his late wife led for her daughters. Before reading the story, I thought it would be rather boring, as I'm not into stories with a tragicomic plot, but then I realized it was an absorbing and intriguing story, so every moment I wanted to know what's going to happen next. I strongly recommend the book for everyone who like thrillers and mysteries, despite the age, because it is well written and also easy to read, so everyone will enjoy it.
Hello there, my name is Agustina. Leiva. Holmes is the main character of this Arthur Conan Doyle masterpiece. He was a detective, and in the book, the author relates the many adventures he passed through. All we can say about his physical appearance is that he was a tall man with a languid, spare figure and a sympathetic smile, which makes him benevolently curious looking. But we can better describe the detective by his attitude and expression. He was an extremely later riser, balanced-minded, sensitive man with such immense faculties and power of observation that he was sometimes thought to be an observing and reasoning machine. He was capable of solving the most inextricable mysteries by his quick, subtle methods of rapid deduction and intuition that were based on logical basis. Detective Sherlock Holmes was an extremely passionate man. He didn't do what he did in order to acquire wealth, money, but he did it for love for the art of solving crimes and solving mysteries. So that's why he only investigated crimes that were deepened into the fantastic and the unusual. The Great Gatsby is a novel written by Francis Scott Fitzgerald in the 20th century. It is situated in Long Island, New York, in a fictitious town called West Egg in 1922. The story starts by the moving of a new jeweler to the neighborhood. His name is Nick Carraway, a 30-year-old ex-military man who will be telling the whole story as if it has passed through in his own flesh. The novel develops sordid real-life situations such as cheating marriages, alcohol parties, murder, blood, in such a suspicious way that engages you from the very beginning till the end of the story. The story itself starts when Mr. Carraway meets his suspicious neighbor, whose past life and precedents nobody knew. Mr. J. Gatsby lives in a mansion next door, and he was famous between citizens because of his all-week enormous parties and his past life, which was suspicious and which was thought and rumored to have been of illegal business. Nick ends up by making Gatsby a close friend of him, and together they share loads of experiences until Gatsby finally revealed what was his intention, that it was no more than getting closer to Daisy Buchanan Fay, who happened to be Nick's cousin. Since then, the novel relates all the crazy stuff Gatsby made in order to get closer to Daisy and catch her love. They were so crazy and hazardous up to the point of bringing Gatsby to a tragic end. The story is held on a thrilling atmosphere and perfectly described sceneries. Characters are also described in such a complete way that you can even feel or think what they are feeling or thinking. However, at this point, I will make a personal judgment. The presentation of the characters lasts for too long. One can think that these various stages are just isolated scenes with no relationship one with another, until the middle of the story when these facts get connected in the main conflict of the storyline. After stating this, I would say that the reader must be retailer and very analytical in order to read, understand, and enjoy this masterpiece, which I utterly recommend reading for those people who would like to be stood on this time of our history, to know how life was then through a dynamic and absorbing narration like this.
Now I'm going to do the description of the Great Gatsby's mansion. It was located in West Egg on Long Island Sound in New York. It was a colossal affair, so impressive that it was compared with a hotel that built in Normandy. It has a tower on one side and spanking new under a thin bed of raw ivy, a marble swimming pool, and more than 40 acres of lawn and a garden where the sparkling odor of yankees and other flowers could hypnotize you from the house's gate. Also, it was enormous with a lot of bedrooms. It is a dazzling mansion with everything we like to have, marvelous and astonishing things that most people dream to have, and it is incredible and hardly to imagine everything is described in the book.
cuenta que estamos.